Hey guys, welcome to the sideboard here at the SCG Charlotte Open. I'm Ken Crocker here with Thomas Pendergast. Thomas.
Yo, how's
say
it
hi
going?
to the folks. You already did it.
I did.
You're a natural.
I'm Thomas. Hello.
So, a lot of big mana decks in Modern.
Tron is popular.
Tron is popular. We got some Amulet Bloom.
Yes.
The Eldrazi deck could be considered a big mana deck.
Probably going to become a problem soon.
Soon it will take over and we will
so.
all be bowing to the Eldrazi overlords. But for now, you're playing some Tron, but not green-red Tron.
Correct. We like using the Tron elements with the Urza lands for big mana plays. However, rather than playing green-reds, always have Tron for 7 mana quickly planned to power out fatties, we are trying to play a more control deck that ends into the more mid-rangey things such as Wurmcoil.
So you're playing MonoBlue Tron.
Correct.
So a very popular deck on Magic Online.
It is.
It's a lot of people considered it the more budget-friendly version for a while.
This is very true.
So it's more of a control deck than the other Tron deck.
It's one of the few control decks in Modern that I have noticed.
So the other Tron deck's trying to put it together as fast as possible. You really don't care because you're playing many islands on top of the Tron pieces as well.
Yes.
So exactly what is Blue bringing to the table?
So Blue is trying to do what Blue does. It brings control elements such as Condescends and Mana Leaks, and this weird card called Repeal that bounces permanents that can be problematic for you, such as creatures or Stony Silence or what have you.
So a lot of X spells.
Correct.
That you were taking advantage of with the Tron lands.
Exactly.
So you got some draw with the Repeal. You also have some draw on a card that you say is underutilized in Modern, and that's 4 of Thirst of Knowledge.
Yes, this card is fantastic. It probably can only ever be played in this deck because there aren't many decks that get to support such a large amount of artifacts. But if you do have a large artifact deck and you're not Affinity, you should try to put this into your deck somehow. Just the raw card advantage it gives you outside of the selection is perfect. And if it's just selection, even if you're discarding like a spare island and some random like counter spell that you don't need, redundant, it's beautiful.
All right, and then you also have a couple more pieces. I guess we call these removal. The obvious one is Dismember, which is not blue.
Correct.
But we'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
But you also have a 1/of Cyclonic Rift. Now, you don't really see Cyclonic Rift played in anything outside of EDH.
Correct.
So how good is this card in this deck?
So this card, 9 times out of 10, is just 1 in a blue, make them pick up their creature, make them stop hitting you with your Tarmogoyf, maybe delay their Liliana another turn, any of these kind of effects.
So it's just Disperse.
Yes, it's just Disperse, which feels terrible. But every now and then, you play against Elves, the game's gone on a few turns, you've assembled your Tron and an island, and you make them pick up 15 permanents in their end step, and there's no other feeling for it. And you can do this against most of the decks of the format.
Fair enough.
It is worth a slot.
Just one slot, though.
Just one, yes.
All right. So like Tron, the green-red version, you do have the expedition maps to try to find the particular pieces you're looking for, whether they be the Tron lands or the other lands we'll get to here in a second.
Yes.
But unlike Tron, you don't have like the chromatic stars or chromatic sphere.
We do not. We don't need to fix our mana because we have such a large amount of our main color. So we're a blue deck. We play 8 islands in compared to green-red Trons, 4 groves and 1 forest, right? We just have a much higher amount.
So, but you are playing some other interesting artifacts.
Yes.
So you have 3 Chalice of the Void main deck.
I do. I am a hateful person, and I do not apologize for it. One of the worst matchups for this deck, in it being a control deck and a clunky Tron deck, are aggro decks. Any of the streamlined decks we have a problem with. So between Burn and Zoo, things of that nature, if we can just have one card that stops 3 of their cards, it's unbelievable. It's the only way we can win the game, and it's worth a slot.
Sure, and you don't get like Pyroclasm or anything like that. So this is like the best you get.
Sweepers outside of Oblivion Stone, which isn't as reliable for us as it is right now.
Yeah, you have 1 Oblivion Stone.
Correct.
So let's talk. You got obviously some utility creatures like Spellskite, but let's talk about the way you win the game. So we've seen Green-Red Tron. They played a bunch of Eldrazi.
Yes, we get to copy their game plan to a little bit. We have a couple Wurmcoils. We have 1 Ulamog to their 3. But beyond that, we get to play a Sundering Titan, which is this fantastic card that gets to destroy lands of types, so like swamps, plains, etc. Get to blow up people's, 4 lands to your 1 island. It's a good way to get ahead when you're already massively ahead with the Tron already.
Further ahead.
Yes. Turn 4, lose all your lands, I keep my lands is
It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yes. We have a Platinum Angel, which is this funky card from Mirrodin that says...
That's cute, right?
It is.
It's a little cute.
It's more than cute. It is actually the best win con in the deck, in my opinion.
Okay.
between Chalice of the Void on 1 against most decks and putting a Platinum Angel in play, they cannot remove it. Most decks have to lean on Path of Exile effects, and they just can't remove it ever again. So it says you can't lose and they can't win, and then you just never put it in harm's way and they eventually lose.
Fair enough. And then you also have an Ugin.
Yeah, we have an Ugin just because
just like they do.
He is the cleanest way to answer boards ever.
Sure. And then finally you have this insignificant.
Yeah, so we have this
Mind Slaver.
We have this 10 mana card that's like, I get to play your next turn, which seems more than reasonable in, I don't know, some Bizarro world. But if we ever assemble Mind Slaver, which lets us take their turn, and this card called Academy Ruins, which lets us put artifacts on top, with enough mana, you can have all of their turns, and then they lose.
So, it's a combo deck.
It is.
Just like everything else in Modern, at the end of the day.
You got me. I was a combo deck all along.
We're a combo deck the whole time.
It's true.
All right, so let's talk about your land base a little bit. Obviously, you have 4 of each of the Tron pieces.
We have 12 Tron lands here. We have 8 islands to accompany them.
And then you have a bunch of utility lands.
We have a million.
You already explained the Academy Ruins. Obviously, that goes well with the rest of the artifacts you have in the deck.
You can recur. It's fantastic.
You have the Eye of Ugin.
We have an Eye of Ugin.
That goes well with, obviously, the Worm Coils and the rest of your creatures.
Spell Skites, whatever you need.
Yeah, just like Green Red Tron. So, no big deal there. Ghost Quarter, obviously, once again,
we need to be able to kill the mana
Ink Moths.
Whichever it is.
You know, any creature line that's giving you trouble, you got at least one answer. Now, the ones that are interesting to me, you have an Urborg, you have an Obaro.
I do.
And you have a Gemstone Cavern?
It is Gemstone Cavern.
Gemstone Cavern.
Yes. So, I don't know if people have ever played control decks before, probably not in Modern. Being on the draw is terrible. You don't get to your 2-mana counter spells ever. However, this card's in your opener. Through some funky cheating, you get to exile a card to it, and it starts in play and makes any mana. So you get to skip to 2 before they get to 2. It helps enough of the time to be warned a space.
Okay.
Whereas this Urborg is literally just for Dismember because we don't want to hurt ourselves at all.
Sure. And you mentioned some interesting interactions with Sundering Titan.
Yes. So because Sundering Titan will destroy land types, if you give them a bunch of swamps, you can destroy Raging Ravines and Inkmoth Nexus with Sundering Titan. It's fantastic.
So once again, combo deck.
Yes.
All right.
No. I've been found out again.
So here's the real question that we really need, we really need to get out there. Why would you play MonoBlue Tron as opposed to Green Red Tron other than card availability?
We actually discussed this a lot on the MTG Salvation forums. There's like a huge thread. I think we're actually about to hit 900 pages on our thread or something ridiculous.
Fair enough.
People just like the feeling of playing control decks.
Sure. Who doesn't?
It is pretty easily agreed that, or universally agreed, that this deck is less consistent than Red-Green Tron while doing mostly the same things, but people just want to play with counterspells. They want to feel they have control over the game, and they want to not instantly lose to things like Blood Moon or Crumble to Dust or any of those effects.
Fair enough.
One of the best things about this deck is because of such a high amount of basics, and most of your cards are on the cheaper end, you can get Blood Mooned, and generally it actually hurts them more than you.
Okay, so at least that's something. And even if it didn't, you have things like Repeal.
Yeah, you have ways to get it off the board if you need to. Yes.
All right, so if you're looking for a Tron deck and you don't want to play Karn, because like even Cedric Phillips is no longer, I mean, there's a bunch of people that are no longer playing Karn anymore. But you still want to go big.
It's true.
MonoBlue Tron combo?
Sure.
Control? All right, we'll go with that.
We'll go with combo control.
All right, Tom, thanks for taking the time to size in from the sideboard. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys stay tuned for more Modern action here in Charlotte.